Okay, welcome back to my YouTube channel. For today's video, we'll resume our series on how to make an endless runner 2D game inside Unity. So let's get into that. So let's first of all arrange these assets which I have. So let's make one for the animation. Let's transfer this animation into it. So let's drag this into the animation. And then let's make another one. Okay, so let's create another folder for my images this time. Let's drag these two into it, or these three actually. Let's drag this in there. And finally, let's do one more for my scripts. So this would be scripts. And this should be in there. So let's do that. Let's clear this console, and everything is looking in order now. So what we will start with now is to give my player a collider. So let's go and left click on the player. So after left clicking on the player, now we can go ahead and add a component. This would be a 2D component. It's going to be a box collider. So this should be it, and then let's zoom in so we can take a good look at this. The collider on, and then let's scale this collider so it be the size which I want. And I think this should be, the default should be okay because it's the same as this rect tool, or this rect tool size. You can see the collider is around the our player, so that should be alright. Let's add also a rigid body 2D. So let's look for a rigid body and let's add it to this. We also want gravity to be applied, so we're going to leave everything as it is, the default, exactly the way it is. So let's not mess with that. Now we also want to give a collider to this our floor. So let's go into this and then let's add a component. This would also be a box collider. Now I don't really need it to be this big, so I'm going to shrink this down really well to just be at the base here. But first let me take a look at this in full screen. It should be shift space. So let's scale this to fill the screen in a way. I don't like seeing this blue around it, so let's increase its size. Let's select this scale tool and then let's scale it on the X. Let's scale it equally to make sure it fills the screen, and then we can do the same thing for our quad. So let's scale this also. Yep. That should be okay. That should be okay. Let's drag our player a bit back, so to somewhere there. Now that should do. For my floor, let me scale this down. Rather than 15, I want it just a bit too small, and that should do. So let's bring this down on the Y. Let's drag it down to a minus value. Now let's take a look at that. Let's bring this down to somewhere around there, and that should do just fine. So let's play the game now to see how it's doing. Let's see this much clearly. So we can see now that our player is colliding with the floor and he's not going down straight without just straight down without colliding with anything. So that is something good for us. Glad to see we are making progress. Now I'm going to be adding physics data on for this game object to be able to collide with different obstacles which will come its way. So that's why the rigid body is added. You need to have at least one game object with a rigid body for it to detect collision. So let's get into that right now. And before we do that, let's handle this animation situation, because I only have a run animation right now and there's no jump. So let's go ahead and make a jump for our player. I will do this by going into the images. This is my jump animation. Very simple. So let's select this tree and hit Ctrl D to duplicate this. And then we can select the first tree. That's how we want the animation to go, from this to this and then this and then back to this. So let's hit Control and left click on this, this and this, and drag this onto the scene somewhere there. And we can name this jump. So you can see that this creates an animation and an animator controller for us, but we wouldn't be using this right now. The controller, what we need is the jump animation. So let's transfer this into the animations folder, and these three images, they would just be here. So that should do. And let's select this stick run 0 and let's select the animation tab. Let's play this and you can see it's being animated in the jump sequence, which is what we were looking for. But then right now there are two game objects on the scene, each representing a player, and that it's not definitely not what we want. So what we will do now is we're going to delete this, and that should not affect our game in any way. And then we can, since we've already taken the animation into this animations tab, we can select our player now and select the animator, and you can see the entry is already set to run because that's the one I want. Now what I want to do is I want to right click on this animator and then select create empty, and then I can go ahead and rename this empty. This empty state, I can call it jump. So let's zoom in so we see this clearly. I can call this jump. Now what I want is to be making transitions within this. So if an obstacle comes, we're going to jump and then return back to run. So that would be what we'll be doing. And for this to happen, I need to set a parameter. So you can set it however you want. You can use a float, integer, a boolean, or even a trigger to play this animation. But in my case, I'm going to be using a boolean because I want to see I have conditions for it to run and jump, and that is what I'm going to be using. So the condition for this is going to be jump with an uppercase first letter. So let's hit enter for that, and then let's right click on the run, click on make transition, let's go into jump, and then we can also right click on the jump, select make transition, and back to the run. Right, so Now we're going to click on these lines, these transition lines up here. So let's first start with the transition line from run to jump. Let's left click on that. And for this, you can see that there is exit time. We're not going to be using such. It's going to be strictly a boolean. So let's cancel this or not select it anyway, and then let's set this transition duration to 0. So there it is. We've taken care of that. And finally, let's go into the condition and let's add a condition to this. So by default, it's going to be set to true. You can change this to false, but the only reason I want run to switch to jump is if it's true. So if jump is true as a boolean, then it's going to swap. And we can do that for the other side. So let's click on this, remove the exit time, select settings, change this transition duration to 0, add condition, and this jump would be false for it to go back to run. Right, so now we've handled the animation in the game engine but not using the code, and I think that's what we're going to be doing next. So let's go into our scripts folder. Let's right click, go into create, select C#. I'm going to call this my player script. So let's double click this and open it up in Visual Studio. Right, so this is it. This is our script. Now let me zoom this so you can see this clearly. Let's take it to about 150, and then that should do. So what we will do is make a reference to our animator just to be certain that this is going to work. Now let's write private animator. Let's call this anim underscore anim. So that should be it. And inside our start, we're going to get our component animator. So our anim would be equal to get component. This component is animator. So this is it. With that, we close. And since this is going to be a test, we want to check if to see if the animation is actually working. So what we do is we give a condition in our update, and this would be if input dot get mouse button 0. That would be our left click in the game. Then we want to set our anim dot set bool, and our boolean would be the jump. And make sure this is spelled exactly the way it is on the animator. Make sure the condition is spelled exactly with the capital case here, or else you will just be looking for a solution which we cannot find. Believe me, I did that and I suffered a lot with it. So let's set this to true. So if jump is true, or rather if we click this, if we left click on our game, we're going to set jump to true. Else if we click the same button and if it's already true, then we want to set anim. We want to set this bool. Let me remove this. I should do. So we want to set bool jump. This would be set to false. Right, So just to be certain that this is working, we can save this and test it on our game object. So let's go back to Unity and wait for it to compile. So with this done, I can go ahead and drag my script, player script, onto my player game object. So that should do it. And there it is, so it's attached. And let's set this to maximize on play. To be certain that this is working, we can go back into the animation tab with this player selected. And when I left click on this, it should show 2, but it's only showing 1 for some reason. So let me find a way to resolve that. Okay, so I haven't set this motion yet, and this motion is supposed to be my jump animation, which I haven't selected. So this is it, jump. Now you can see when I left click on my player animation, make sure it's selected, go into the animation, and you can see that there is jump. So you can choose to preview this however you want. So play, you can see the jump is working, but it's not going higher, and that's because we haven't set that yet. And you can also preview the run, which has been working by default. So this is it, our run is working normal. Now that should do. So let's play the game, set this to maximize on play, and then let's play. So you can see our entry animation is the run animation. Now I'm going to left click. And you can see once the button is down, it's changing to a jump animation. Of course, I'm clicking this and I'm actually holding it. So it works when you hold it. Otherwise, it's going to keep running. And with this being tested, we are certain that this is working. But then I don't want this to be, although I want it to be left click, I want it to go back to the run animation when it collides with this, because clearly if you are jumping, definitely you have to go above the floor, which is something we want. So I think that's what we'll be fixing up, hopefully in our next video. But before we do that, let's import our obstacles. Let's go into the desktop and let's import these. Yeah, so these are going to be our obstacles, and we're going to fix this up in our next video, same as the animation, which we're going to code a bit and then arrange these obstacles by giving them a couple of components. So that with that being said, we've come to the end of today's video. Thank you guys for watching. If you've reached this very minute, I appreciate that. Give me a like for the video, make sure you subscribe if you feel like supporting, and I hope I see you in my next video.